Welcome back, everyone, to BitCraft Bulletin. I am Percival, and today with me is Tyler, aka 3Blave, co-founder.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be doing a look into the future style episode, and we're going to be kind of covering pretty much what Tyler wants for the future and everything for BitCraft. So I'm going to go ahead and let Tyler introduce himself and spotlight everything that he brings into BitCraft.
Hello, everyone. So I am a co-founder of Clockwork Labs, the company behind BitCraft. I began working on this project with just myself and my co-founder, Alessandro, all the way back in, I guess it was probably 2018. We set forth the vision for the game from the beginning and have been carrying out that vision since then. Obviously, we've added a lot of really amazing members to the team who have helped bring it into a reality.
This episode is pretty much setting up the way. So what Tyler visions for the future from between now and I guess 2030 and how we plan to evolve that and how he plans to evolve the game. From 2021 announcement to May 2025 early access launch with over, I think we're at how many wish lists are we at right now?
I think somewhere above, not counting sales. So basically, if you take all the people that wish listed minus the sales, I think it's something like 350,000.
Oh wow, we're getting very close to.
Yeah, we're getting up there. We're getting even closer when you include sales, which is what we're doing. So 500,000 wish lists or sales added together, that will get us to weather and in seasons, which is a very cool thing that we've always wanted to add to BitCraft, but we haven't quite gotten there on the wish list goal.
Speaking of weather, we're gonna kind of dive away from the main question. For weather, so it's definitely coming. You think we're gonna hit that goal, and then we're gonna?
Well, I'd like to say that I'd like to think that we're going to hit it. I think the people listening to this podcast should tell their friends. They should go wish list it themselves if they have not, and then get ready for when weather comes.
I'm so excited for weather. So then we have open sourcing in recent hits like the dungeon sweep update, which included, cleaning up the dungeon and adding dungeons to the game with quality of life buffs and the social windows. And on top of that, we have a new pet coming very soon. If you want to go into detail about the new pet.
Sure. So for those of you, have we announced it yet? I guess by the time this goes out, it was certainly be announced. So we're adding a new cat pet, which I'm sure is very interesting for people. And then on October 31st, so Halloween only, you can get an orange cat named Pumpkin, which is my cat's name as well. And we think it makes a lot of sense for the Halloween theme. So it's just something fun that we're going to do for Halloween. So I'm very excited to see what the community thinks about that.
But all these additions to the game, what has been your favorite so far from the very beginning to now? Favorite feature?
That's a good question. I always have been a sucker for building roads. I don't know if it's a feature, but basically terraforming. The fact that you can shape the world to your liking. I don't want to say it's never been done before in MMOs. It certainly has in things like Worm Online from way back in the day, which was the original, I suppose, inspiration in a way for Minecraft. But I think it's just very, very, very cool and inspiring to see what people build in their mega projects. And the fact that the world is dynamic and changes over time as the players build to make it more like a real civilization is very, very rewarding. So I'd say that's my number one feature that I like. The roads in the construction and the building, the fact that it's city building, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the first day it came out that we're all like everyone's kind of getting to play together. We spent I don't know how many hours making the road from where we placed ours all the way around to Meyerfold and back around. So we kind of made a giant loop. So it took a large amount of time, but it was just so addictive.
And they're beautiful. Some people have some really cool designs.
Oh, I've seen some of the roads where they just have just made it very unique, where they make it look like there's a broken fence, and it's so beautiful. I love it.
That's one thing I've definitely underestimated about the community is they take even some things that are like not meant for decoration, and they use it to make really, really interesting designs. That happened all the way back from a long time ago. I remember there was a player who used crafting tables and put like a bunch of them together to make it look like one giant sort of like banquet table. And I thought I never would have considered that. So I'm very excited by what people have been creating, and hopefully we'll give people more decoration tools so they can do even more in the future.
you take what you said for decoration, and we're going to kind of apply that to empires. And I know you want to talk about empires a little bit, but for one of the questions that I've gotten a lot is more cosmetics and decorations for empires. Do you have any plans for that in the future?
Yes, we have imminent plans for that. So, um, let me go back and just say, like, what is the purpose of empires? The purpose of empires is very much, I don't know if there's a word for it, but it's about uh, joining a group of people, or sort of a banner that you can rally behind and sort of spread it in almost like a meme way around the world. In the very, I guess I would give it, there's not a word for it, but like, the vibe you get from Helldivers and Super Earth. Yeah, that kind of thing is I think what we would like to go for. And what we have in the game, has some features of that, but it's not anywhere near what we envision for the future and have always. So I think one of the things we would really like to do is really improve the cosmetics for empires, and that involves sails for your sailboat, banners that you can place up, things you can place in your walls, things you can place in your buildings, certain, maybe exclusive paving that you can add if you're within an empire or you're part of an empire, improving the cosmetics around the crown and the emperor and the officers and all of that, I think would be really cool. I think giving the empires places on the map to capture, which would give you the ability to assign titles to people within your region, that kind of thing. These are all aspects of empires that I don't think we have fully explored by any means, and would make it sort of that much cooler. And that's really what empires are about, is it's just the cool factor. Rule of cool.
I love the cool factor. I really do. And we talked about this, and you talked about it before in the past, is having the statues made of the emperors. And one of the ideas, like someone was in my Discord, of how they wanted to make it from like Lord of the Rings. I forgot which location it is, but they're like,
oh, the Arbuneth? That would be incredible. And that's the kind of thing that I think empires were made for. That's what we would like to get towards, is just sort of blind loyalty to an idea.
yeah,
That makes any sense. So, and inspirational. Like I think empires are something, they're in a way like the pinnacle of what you can build in the game, in insofar as they typically require a large group of people to coordinate. And we've seen this for the large cities as well. And I think there's an element of there's a lot of cool things we'd like to do for cities as well, to let the very large cities kind of become well known in trade hubs on the map. Obviously, like Dragon's Head has been an enormous trade hub. It's something that was player created, but has become a part of the game world, and I think that's super interesting. There's many other ones as well, that are smaller and have their own mythos to them, or their own reason for being, or the reason to travel to them. It's very rewarding to see.
I actually have found a few empires that have their own lore. They've like made their own like lore pages, or I've seen some awesome empires where they have a newspaper. We actually have one for ours. We have the Tavern Times, and we kind of post in the Discord of what has happened that day and everything like that. So it's very unique, and these empires are just making their own spin on the world of Starfell. It's just making it just amazing and actually feel alive.
That's what it's all about. The idea we had for BitCraft from the beginning is that the reason we have an ancient world, and that there's sort of a story for you to find in the world, and then we have what players do, and they don't really overlap too much, is that we wanted it to be so that we, as the game developers, write the story of the past, but the players write the story of the future. So as the players wake up and begin to change the world, they are evolving a story as it happens. And already we've seen, empire wars, and we've seen sort of people come and go, and the lore and the history of the world changing over time. None of that we wrote. The players wrote that. And I think that is very, very special.
So the next question I have is, anything you feel like is confirmed for the future that you would like to share? Anything that you feel that the players should know that is, most definitely coming?
So I guess I would just call out also any of the things that we have on the roadmap that we've spoken about already. So all of the Steam wishlist rewards, the top two being Cities on Water was the 250,000 goal, and weather and seasons. If we can reach those goals, we will do that. We reached the cities on water, so those will be coming, and then obviously weather. There's a lot of other things as well. So I think by the time this goes out, we will already have announced, if we have not, we've talked about it before, Outposts. So I don't know if that's the official name that we're going to go with, but the idea behind an Outpost is one of the visions we had for the game from the beginning was that we wanted people to be able to build specialized towns where the towns are a group of people who really like a particular activity and they want to kind of specialize in that, and that people will rely on them for that, but that they don't need to be self-sufficient in total. So you can imagine, for example, a mining town up in the mountains, kind of like a dwarf city that's just working on mining, and then they trade for their other goods. And so we have this very complex, interconnected set of trading. Now, we have had trading in the game already. We've worked for a long time to get that. But I think Outpost takes it to the next level for two reasons. One is that it will allow a smaller group of people to build a high-tier town, provided that they are trading and cooperating with other towns of a higher tier. So you will always need a city of some kind that does all the tiers to be able to unlock the higher tiers for outposts. But you don't have to be involved with that in any way other than you just need to buy it from them. And so this would allow a team of like 2 or 3 people to kind of go off, build their cool little outposts, maybe with an inn that people can come and check out and stay in when they come to visit, to pick up the goods to bring back to the big city. And I think that will be a really, really cool thing for players. So that's one of the things that's absolutely on the roadmap that I definitely want to mention. Other things we've talked about a lot, bridges and gondolas. Gondolas are the current planned solution, which when I say gondola, I don't mean the Venice kind. I mean the kind that are like a horizontal elevator in the game. So right now we have the elevator game. It's like a basket and it can take you things. Imagine that you could have a line from one side of the river to the other, and you could pick up goods and kind of pull it across the line, like a clothesline, or like a ski lift type situation. So those are planned. Those are cool because they could also, in principle, go diagonally, right? So you could go from a lower region to a higher region. That gives some very interesting construction capabilities in the game. There has been talk about, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but actual bridges. So crossing water on bridges, there's some details to work out there from the engineering side, but that would be something that we would love to do. As I talked about before, a bunch of Empire skins and cosmetics coming. I think more decorations and cosmetics coming. One of the things that's not super glamorous, but I think very important for a lot of players, is localization and language translation. So we think it would be really, really cool, first of all, if players could chat in their own local set of characters. So, Japanese players, we'd love for them to be able to chat in Japanese, but then also translating the game, for example, as a Japanese or a German or Spanish or what have you, to allow more players. And then ultimately, what would be really cool is a live translation feature, which would translate your chat messages for other players. So I could just say, hey, my language is English, and I want you to auto-translate anything that somebody says in another language. And now we'll have people from all different kinds of cultures and languages being able to play together in a way that they could not were it not a single world. And I think that would be very, very cool. We want to work on that. We have a huge number of sort of quality of life and onboarding features that we'd like to improve to help people kind of get into the game faster. I know that one thing we're really interested in doing is improving the sort of moment-to-moment gameplay of BitCraft. So BitCraft right now is, in a lot of respects, almost like an idle game. There's you set things up, you craft them, you wait. There's a virtue to that, which is that it's pretty simple. You can second monitor it, you can kind of do it whenever you want. But I think it would be very good and in general desirable to add more things that you can do actively. So if you are tired of just sort of clicking around, you can go to maybe mini games and that kind of thing to either speed up what you're trying to do or to sort of min-max what you're trying to do, or just to have fun, right? Because that's what the game is ultimately all about. So all of those things are absolutely on the roadmap, and we're cooking on them. I would say that BitCraft has, at this point, in terms of like major features, at least sketched in most of what we had originally envisioned. So it's been a long time coming, but we're really, really getting there. I think there are things that we could polish for sure, and I think we plan to do that. But that's where we're at.
Well, I love all those, especially the gondolas, because I mean that's been something that I know a few people. Well, bridges and gondolas has something that people have been expecting. And one of the questions I actually have up on Discord, I was told to ask: would there ever be any cape variations for empires? Would that be something? Because you mentioned empire cosmetics and things like that. Would the ability to change a cape style to give more unique, I guess, to the empire itself?
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that we would really like to do. I think there's a question about like how we do that exactly, but the idea, forgetting even just about the cape, but maybe the emblem, right? So we have this emblem builder, and you can create your own. That can get arbitrarily crazy, where we could have you submitting just PNGs. I think we would want probably to always moderate those, and I think you'd have to reach a certain level before we said like, all right, yeah, we're going to put those in the game. But it really is about, it's a cosmetic system. I mean, so the cosmetics got to be cool. Like that's the whole point. Is to make it really, really cool and to put your mark on the world. So it's a way to become a part of the game permanently. So that's something that we'd like to do. And I mean, there's a lot of other things that we want to do, even just around the game. So for example, an official leaderboard or something would be really cool. And then when players hit the top of the leaderboard, if you hit 100, you can be sort of immortalized as at whatever place and time you've done, though getting to level 100, that you're sort of permanently on the board there. And then you can say like, hey, I did it. Like this is the kind of stuff that it's also cosmetic, but in that case, there's only one way to get that cosmetic, and that is to grind it out, which several of our players have done. It's been absolutely incredible to see how much time players put into BitCraft.
We just had a player hit 100 smithing today.
Oh, really? I gotta take a look. Yeah, we have somebody who's at 102, which is just outrageous. Let's see. We have a farming and fishing. Those are the two. And then smithing. Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny.
Just bonkers.
Shout out Kenny. Kenny got 100 smithing.
Yes, and OG Eliab is actually 99 in smithing, so very close to the top there. That is something else. I mean, you just look at total XP, and you have people with hundreds of millions. The highest total XP is actually Bromoves, and 207 million XP.
That is wild.
It is wild.
That is very wild. This is my second monitor game. I have fun playing BitCraft and like working and editing and everything like that. And there's some people that I know. My little brother is actually glued to his laptop, and it's either that and he plays World of Warcraft on his desktop, and he sits there. It's actually really funny. He's grinding BitCraft levels like crazy. I think he only got like 3 hours of sleep the other night.
What's he specializing in?
Right now he's specializing in hunting, and he's just going around like just like killing things because that's what he loves, doing dungeons and stuff like that. So when we incorporated dungeons, that's when he like really got involved into the game, because he's a very heavy on doing dungeon runs with his friends.
Well, that's the interesting thing about MMOs is like there's kind of something for everyone, but you have to add it. You add it one at a time, and you have to kind of polish them all, and you go to the next thing and you kind of polish it and go. And as you do, it's kind of accretive. Sort of you get some more people, and you get some more people, and you make things a little bit better, and you make things a little have more content, and over time it becomes what it always was meant to be. I look at a game like RuneScape, right? Like you could not make RuneScape without going through 20 years of developing
100%.
Content. So it's super interesting to see.
RuneScape was my first, I would say, true MMO addiction.
RuneScape was one of the major inspirations, I would say, for BitCraft. We always knew from the beginning we'd have a very similar skilling system in terms of like the exponential growth on the fact that I think RuneScape is unique amongst MMOs. At least it's the progenitor of these types of MMOs, but it's unique in that it does not wipe the value of your experience, of your progress. Yeah. So if you play a game like World of Warcraft, when the new expansion comes out, everything you did in the last expansion is like kind of useless. That is not true of RuneScape, and any MMO that's sort of descended from it, like Albion Online or something,
Yeah.
has the same kind of characteristic to it. And I felt that was important. Obviously, you can have many types of MMOs. World of Warcraft is one. But there's something very powerful from having a game where there's a lot of other players and you're all kind of competing on progress, and the leaderboard is meaningful. And it's kind of just a question of see how far you can get beyond other people, or sort of keep up with your friends, or accrete items to yourself, like making money. I remember when I played RuneScape, I was actually quite low level. I was level 37, and I kind of stopped there at combat level anyway. And the only thing I did was I did wood cutting, but I stopped that eventually too. And all I did was stood in Barak and just bought gold things and kind of traded arbitrage. And that was an experience you could only get in an MMO, because you have to actually like talk to other people. And there was like the thrill of finding somebody who's like selling it for a little too low, and then the person who's kind of buying it for like a little too high, or you kind of make it to that next level of item and you're like, oh, I can get a Santa hat now. And that was very exciting. So that was a big inspiration for me. The fact that in RuneScape your progress is meaningful, the amount of items you have is very meaningful, and there's real people to interact with. And that means it means people are going to try and scam you. It means people are going to be mean to you. It means people are going to try and PK you in the wilderness and all the like. But I don't think I've learned any more life lessons from real life than I have from RuneScape. So I think it's very valuable.
I agree. I think the first lesson I learned was don't trust anybody, especially in the wilderness. I was that person. I was like, come, I found a secret quest in the wilderness. Come on out. And we would just take everything they had.
Yeah. It's really, you got to be careful who you trust. But I mean, I remember, this is why I learned about scams, right? So there's all kinds. I remember there would be people like, oh, drop party. And then they'd take you over to an area, and they'd be like, okay, here's the deal. Like, you give me an item and I'm going to double it for you or something. So you give them like 10 gold and they give you back 20. And then you're like, okay. And you give them like 1,000 and they give you back 2,000. And you're like, okay. And you give them back, you give them 200,000. They give you 400,000. You're like, oh, damn. They must really have a dupe in the game or something. Then you give them 2 million and they log off. And it's like, oops.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And there's all kinds of that. There was also people who try to like quick change the trade. So you think you're getting something and they try to like entice you with like a low price, and they flip it around. Not very nice, but instructive at least.
It was instructive. It definitely taught a lot of life lessons.
A lot of life. And in a case where it doesn't really matter so much, so that's helpful.
So we definitely got to move on to the next question, because we could talk about RuneScape all day. Another main question we got is, what would you guess for the full release of BitCraft?
For timing?
Yeah, for timing.
So this is something that I think we do not know ourselves. Yeah. And we also would, if we did know, which we do not, we would want to be cautious about saying, because we don't want to ruin people's experience in the current game, right? I think if you know the date, even if I say, hey, it's like 2 years from now on this day, you're just mentally preparing for the wipe, I think. And I think we want people to enjoy the game as it is right now. In terms of like, what do we have remaining? The content is relatively well balanced. I think a lot of features could use more polish. I think we'd like to do the things that are not yet finished. Like, I think Outpost is a really important one.
Yep.
The things I mentioned before, improving empires and that kind of thing. Having the game translated and be available for everyone. Having it be a level of usability and UX and quality of life that people feel that it is ready to be a released game. That means reducing bugs, making sure that it looks frustrating to play at times. And then I think what makes the most sense for the game. So would it be better for our player population to have it? I mean, the reason we have always planned to go free to play is that the game, as I'm sure people have found, benefits from having a lot of players. Yeah. So the easiest way to make that accessible to as many people as possible is to have it be free to play. At the very least, for them to try almost all of the game or much of the end, much like RuneScape, if not the entirety of the game, so that the community is a thriving one and one where everybody has the chance to play and try it out and see if it makes sense for them. So I think we want to test and make sure we have all of that locked down before we would move forward with the release. That is to say, I'm going to leave a little bit of a mystery, but those are the things that we need to do before we would release.
Going to the next question is something that was asked a couple times during the Twitch stream, is the wipe itself. That is something that people want to know about. There was some people asking if we could not wipe and we can keep it, or, there's some that are like, no, definitely full wipe. Is that something that's been considered a little bit more, or?
When we asked this on stream, the overwhelming, somebody had in the stream said like, hey, I didn't know this was going to wipe, and upset about that.
Yeah.
I understand that feeling as well. But when we asked, should we wipe, we have an overwhelming number of people, from all the people who play the game and have invested a lot of time into it, that they say we should wipe. So why are we wiping it all? Is an interesting question. Why not keep it going? I think there are two main reasons. One is, if you have a free-to-play game and then you make it pay-to-play at the beginning, you're giving people who pay a head start. And that was kind of what we didn't really want to do. That's sort of the philosophy behind what we're trying to do, is that you're not getting like, oh, you got to level 100 first, and there was no way that you could have done that unless you paid $30. Yeah. I understand. I think it's fine that games do that. Like, I don't have like a philosophical problem with it. I think we decided that we didn't really want that for our game. So that's reason number one. And then reason number two is the game was not balanced at the beginning of the beta for everything that we wanted to do. And so the thing is with an MMO is like, once the bell is rung, it's out there and you have to kind of deal with the hand you dealt. We wanted the ability to reserve one wipe to be able to reset the items, so that if we made a terrible mistake or there's a gold dupe bug and that kind of thing. And by the way, we have had those. With Space Heavy, fortunately, we can go back and kind of erase a lot of the effects of it, but not all of it. Depends on what actually transpired. And be able to kind of just reset and say like, hey, we balanced it, we fixed the dupes, we're good to go. Those dupes, by the way, were integer overflows. So check your integer edition, folks. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing that we want to make sure we absolutely have unlocked, and the wipe gives us the ability to do that. But one thing I can say is that, like, I think we certainly would consider rolling over some of your achievement from the previous thing. So maybe you can get a title if you made it past a certain amount of thing, and that is, I think, a good balance between, like, yeah, you had to pay $30 to get the special title that allowed you to have that title in the game, but that's true in general of access to the beta, right? Yeah. People who bought the game get a title. I don't remember exactly what it is, but like same with the alpha, if you signed up at the right time, I think that's the appropriate amount. I can also imagine taking the world, kind of putting it in an archive mode and leaving it so that people could visit it. I don't know if we would have them sort of be able to continue playing it. The tricky part with that is you don't want to split your community. So you want to say like, okay, we have a bunch of people playing the legacy server, we have a bunch of people playing in the new server. Although I will say there is precedent for that. I think RuneScape 1.
Yes.
But RuneScape Classic, you could still play.
Yeah.
And after they made RuneScape 2. And likewise, I suppose, with RuneScape 3 and now old school RuneScape, they kind of keep both. But you do fragment the community, and I think that's something to be cautious about. But I think people are less concerned about wipes if it's like, well, I'm not going to lose the stuff that I have. I will simply go into a new world and be able to do that. So maybe some kind of archiving thing, if it's not terribly much engineering work, is something that we could do. But those are the reasons for the wipe. I think it's unfortunate in a way, but I think has benefits. It's also a way to reinvigorate the community, right? We get another sort of launch. You get all the people that wanted to play free to play to be able to come in and play a game. We were able to test the servers out, make sure, once they exploded, that we could fix them, so that hopefully when we do a worldwide free to play launch, everything goes very smoothly.
I'm one of the people that are like, I'm pro wipe. Just, yeah, because going in with, a fresh start with everybody, especially when it goes free to play, it'll be, I would feel like a lot more comfortable with people that are, first time they're experiencing the game, and people that have prior knowledge or kind of be like the lantern bearers, like, hey, this is how we're going to handle this. We've played this before, get ready. This is how we're going to build our empire really quickly. So I am going to open the floor for you to make your kind of dream list. What excites you the most for the future? If you could add in any additional features that haven't really been discussed, playing the game, what would you want to add in, and what would that list look like?
So for me personally, we internally have a list of hype train ideas, is what we call them. We keep track of what the community says. Community's got some really, really interesting ideas. And then internally we post in the hype train thing, and we keep track of like what are the top sort of hype train things that we'd like to do. There are things that I have always wanted to do. So mine are what I thought they would be. The things that I think if I could wave a magic wand I would do is really add to the vibe, I suppose, of the world. So making it more alive and more interesting and more fantastical. So things that, for me, if I could wave a magic wand, I would do things like having sort of secret travelers or more travelers, having them move around the world, and then you just encounter them in the wilderness, or you encounter them traveling along a road. Maybe they're giant, maybe they're really small, maybe they only show up on a full moon and when this happens, and they've got a really fun thing to sell you. Sort of more excitement of what could I find in this world.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I think things like sea monsters, interesting creatures you can find in the forest, like unique creatures. So not just like, oh, it's 20 boar that I'm going to be killing, but sort of uniqueness to the world. That's what's on my list. I have another one, which would be really cool, which would be water terraforming. So the ability to build like a lake, or to build a waterfall or a river or a canal, or dig out an area in the middle of the ocean, and build walls up and kind of build something out there. That's the kind of thing that really excites me. So those are the things that if I could wave a magic wand, I would do. Another one I would say, and I suppose I should have mentioned this, were things that we would love to do and have planned. Animal husbandry or sort of taming, and in a very sort of not Farmville, Harvest Moon type way.
Favorite game ever.
Yeah. Be able to build and name your pets and kind of grow them. I mean, Minecraft even has some of this in a way, and I think that that's very rewarding. It's like a little sustainable farm that you've kind of built up. It's just fun, and so that kind of thing I think would also be very, very cool. And that one certainly we've talked about internally. Players have talked about it. I'd really like to be able to get that into the game.
That is actually on my list, is animal husbandry, ranching, and things like that. So if we go back to the outpost, developing a small outpost, and then it's more of a farm style outpost, you have, ranching, you have farming, everything like that. It would seem more, I would say, alive in the world, because if you're going around in the world, you're going across the road that you've made, and to your left you see like Farmer John at his outpost, and he's got ox, and he's got everything set up there. He's got his goats, and he's got his birds.
Yeah, and maybe he's chosen an area of the world that you wouldn't build a city in, but that has like really fertile ground or something. Like that's the kind of flavorful stuff that we haven't added so much of, is having the environment and where you choose to do things impact how efficient they are. We have some of that, of course, but imagine you choose a place where the weather is particularly good for farming, or the soil, or the terrain, or whatever you want to break it down like. That's the kind of thing that I think would be so fun.
That would be an absolute game changer. I know a lot of people would be just into the animal husbandry in general, or just the outpost lifestyle. So yeah, I'm all for that list. So your long-term vision of the game, let's fast forward. Let's say it's 2030. What do you see could have like added into the BitCraft? Let's say probably a new system where it's on mobile or it's on Switch. Do you see anything like that potentially happening in the future?
So absolutely. I mean, just to jump to your last part first, I think we'd love for BitCraft to be on as many platforms as we possibly can. Um, the game was kind of always designed with the ability to make a mobile port. We saw what RuneScape did, and that sort of was game changing for RuneScape. Old school RuneScape is the fact that you could bring it around. There is idle aspects to it, so like just being able to open it up, kind of collect your things, and put it away. That's very valuable. But also, like you said, you mentioned Switch. Those are the two most interesting platforms for us. Um, it's just perfect for Switch. I mean, like it's made for that platform basically. And I think we'd like to do that. In terms of systems to add, I mean, there's a whole bunch of polish that we would like to do. I know people have asked about like a guild system. Maybe that's sort of specific to a trade profession, or it's just like in the way that original guilds were, or it's just a way for you to get a group of people together that you want to. I would say like a party system where you can have permissions based on your party. You have different chat messages based on your party. You can do battles and healing and all of that stuff based on your party. I think that's something that we've certainly discussed internally. I would see the Empire system as being vastly improved. One of the things that we did as a convenience, but doesn't maybe live up to the aesthetic of what the Empires could be, is having it be per tile based rather than sort of per chunk. So you could get these sort of really fine grained borders, or you could do things like build something like a Roman Empire, which sort of vaguely extends around a Mediterranean Sea, and that is the meta thing to do. In certain cases, more cosmetics for that I think would be really, really cool. But 2030, there's a lot of things we could do by then. So more combat, better combat, more and better decorations. To try and think of like what would I do in terms of new systems entirely. I mean, there's also more vehicles, more ability to customize maybe vehicles. I mean, we just started with that a little bit, where you can kind of go and specialize your vehicles. I would say a lot of the things that we haven't filled out, we would like to. So much more on the skills side of things. So rather than just professions, making those really interesting. A lot of lore I would love to add to the game. Again, it goes back to that making that world alive. One of the things that I loved about Hollow Knight is that you never knew what you would find kind of right around the corner.
Yeah.
What new interesting person you would meet, or bug, I should say, I guess, in that game. And I think that's very, very cool and valuable. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that answers the question, but there's
does answer the question.
more I could imagine for 2030.
Speaking of like lore, and earlier you talked about how you wanted the NPCs to kind of like roam around and everything like that. Like Heimlich, that was one of his key features in his lore, was he was a roaming chef, and he would like run out and everything like that. And that's actually is why my favorite traveler. I love to cook, so I was like, okay, that'd be perfect. Just him, stumble upon him, he's whipping something up, and then you can do a quick little trade. So I thought that would be really cool.
You can just kind of imagine, like at night, you hear like the clinking of pans and stuff that he like ambles down the pathway that you built.
Yeah.
Right, like that would be very, very cool.
I would absolutely love that. That would make my day. So I have a few Q&A questions from the community itself. The next question I got is mainly around guild halls. Is that something that is potentially coming in the future that could apply to the Empire, where there can be like a banquet hall or something like that players can drop and possibly go on in?
I would say absolutely. That is something that is very much in line with what we want to achieve with Empires, right? It's about the aesthetic. It's about having a place where people can come together and strategize and plan and kind of meet and enjoy. That's something that we would absolutely want to do, for sure.
Perfect. And for future pet variants, people have been wondering if there's going to be more types of pet variants. and also mount variants. So, rare types of mounts having a unique coat to it. Future pet variants, as in very similar to the beaver and cutting trees down. And RuneScape. I mean, we obviously have some of those already, but they want to know if there's any more planned for the future. And, if they're going to be attached to skills or just random luck out exploring.
So I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much we can do. All of what we were doing up until now is to build the base systems of the game so that we can add all the cool content. Yeah. Now we're in the phase where we're adding a lot of the cool content. I think we would like to do updates to this stuff regularly and make sure that there's more and more. Some of it will be attached to skills. Some of it will be attached to maybe items that you get in the game. Some of it will be attached to maybe skins that you buy, right? So I think all of the above are valid for what we want to do.
Perfect. The last one I have on the list is PvP arenas win. That was a big question asked.
I think so. Let me say this: the PvP arena, I think it was originally put on, by Gerudes.
Yeah,
somebody Gerudes. Yeah. That was one of the most unexpected things I've ever seen in our game, and it was super janky. But that was because of our fault. And the sort of the janky combat at the time. I think that inspired a number of people on our team to try and make that something that we can do. I would love to. I mean, I think that was just really, really, really cool. I think even beyond just player combat arenas, giving players more tools to make their own sort of mini games in the world, which are within the lore of the world, would be incredibly cool. Where combat is one such thing, but you can certainly imagine, like, one of the things we've done for Halloween. I don't know if this is going to be out before Halloween, but is we have sort of like a corn maze thing that we built internally, where you can go through and try and work your way through the maze. But giving players the ability to do those kinds of things would be very, very cool.
Oh yeah, they definitely love it. Right when Giroud dropped that arena, everyone we talked about this in a previous episode. We talked about a lot in the stream. People like dropped what they were doing completely and just like ran to go see the arena. So it's definitely something people want added to the game, and I think it'd be perfect.
One of those things where also Space Stone DB can come into it, because you can imagine designing something where the people who are creating the arena get to program the rules in. So maybe it's a tournament, and we didn't write the code for it, but they're actually writing the code to run the tournament. I think that's something that could be really, really cool.
So the last question I have for you is just a wildcard question. What is your dream biome in the game?
Yes, it's so one of the things is, obviously, we built some of the ones that we liked very early on. I think like the Autumn Forest was something that was really cool to see. I think, I mean, I could give you a wiener answer and say that my dream biome would be one that is dynamic.
Yeah.
So not any particular one, but one where as the seasons change, it changes too. So you can imagine leaves falling off the trees, and then being more difficult to maybe grow things, but easier to, I don't know, hunt rabbits or something. And then in the summer, it's really good for growing things, but less good for whatever else you need to do there. So that's kind of a cheesy answer. If I had to say, what would be my dream biome? Trying to think of ones that we kind of spec'd and haven't done. What would be really cool and has come up a few times, it's like a floating islands type situation where it's maybe still has some of the ancient tech built in, and it's, well, I don't want to give away too much stuff, but you can imagine a lot of really, really cool things. I think our game weirdly has some parallels with Halo, and the idea that there was an ancient race who's done all of these things, and you don't quite know why, but you start to pick up hints over time.
So they're like saying BitCraft has Forerunner technology somewhere floating around?
Something like that. I think Zelda Breath of the Wild they have sort of an interesting ancient lore element to it.
Oh yeah. There was someone did a whole, because a bunch of stuff was written in Hyrule, like a Hyrulean or whatever, and someone had the whole language, like alphabet, and they broke down and found some lore based after all that. So that'd be kind of sick if Starfell had that floating around.
I'm surprised that nobody has cracked our sort of our language code yet.
Oh,
Back in the I think one of the alpha announcements, we released just a little snippet of it. I think we'll have to put more of that in the game.
definitely do that. I think I spent a good amount of time doing this, just putting like I've done it like in so many games because I love lore, and I will like put together the alphabet and then I'll try to transcribe things. So that would be really fun, and I would have an absolute blast doing that.
So that'll be fun.
Yep. So that is a wrap for the questions I have for Tyler today. Thank you so much for joining on the BitCraft Bulletin. It was awesome having you here.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
No problem. And also, if there anything you want to rally the community behind, like maybe wish listing on Steam, anything like that?
I think wish listing on Steam is a great option. Buying the game, even greater option. Try it out. Definitely join the community. There's a lot of really cool people in there. If you've played the game and you really like it, I think leaving a review on Steam is helpful for us to get more feedback, and then helpful for, I think, other players to find out, should they buy the game. And then I really look forward to the Halloween event. So if this does come out before then, definitely check that out. I think it's going to be fun, and we should have a great rest of the year.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.